Hey, so it's Josh McEwen here with episode 15 of Dufferin Spotlight on Business, and to begin the new year, we're going to try something different. As you can see, there's a video with this episode, although an audio-only version is still available, but we're doing something even more special than this. This week we are joined by Nasira Jamal, the founder of Life Reset Academy, who's here to talk about the Kindness Challenge. On top of being an author and a life coach, Nasira is challenging everybody to do a kind act every day for 30 days. This is a great way to start the new decade, especially if this turns into a habit for people. There's a lot more to it than this, so be sure to check it out. You can also find out more about what Nasira is up to by following her or Life Reset Academy on Facebook. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy this episode of Dufferin Spotlight on Business. So it's Josh McEwen here with Dufferin Spotlight on Business, and today I'm joined by Nasira Jamal, and we're here to talk about the Kindness Challenge by Life Reset. Hello Nasira, how's your day going?
It's excellent, thank you, and thank you for coming to do this with me. It means a lot.
No problem, thank you for joining us, I really appreciate it. So if you don't mind, could you please just let us know a little bit more about yourself?
Yes, for sure. I actually just wrote a book called Life Reset, and it is an Amazon bestseller. And what I did was, the reason I wrote the book was because as I was going through my life struggles over the last 29 years, raising a child with special needs, I felt that the struggles that I was going through needed a voice. I felt other mothers and fathers out there perhaps were feeling what I've been feeling over the last 25 years, raising a child that had medical challenges. So once I wrote the book, I realized that there was such a need for people to find a way above the struggle, and this whole notion of the doom and gloom that we tend to get ourselves caught up in. So I really wanted to help people find a way outside of that noise.
Makes a ton of sense. I mean, it's very easy to get wrapped up in all that.
Absolutely.
And I mean, that's good, because I mean, then people would have a role model such as yourself as well, learning from your experiences. I mean, everybody could benefit from that. So I mean, that's great, and I think that's a great start into letting us know more about the Kindness Challenge.
Yeah, so the reason I actually, for 2020, came up with the Kindness Challenge is because what I realized was there was a lot of things going on in our world that were bringing people's energies down or frequencies down. And within the Life Reset course that I teach, I talk about vibration and frequency. We live in a universe that is vibrational, and we are all vibrational beings. So sometimes we get caught up saying, perhaps we were dealt a bad hand, or there are some challenges. Well, it was just sort of what was written for me in my destiny. However, what I wanted to show people was we are our co-creators of our life, and we have absolute control over our experiences in this world.
Exactly.
Hence the Kindness Challenge. So why the Kindness Challenge came up was because of its frequency. Kindness is one of the highest frequencies out there. So if we can do something for others, and that raises our vibration, what happens is we attract like vibration towards us. So when we're looking at life goals and we're looking at resolutions, New Year's resolutions and things, what we're forgetting is that really, if our vibration is low, we're only going to be attracting things at this low vibration. Right?
Makes sense, yeah. And so like what you put out in the world is what you get back.
Exactly. It's one of the laws of the universe. This law of cause and effect, the law of karma, is the absolute law that states that what you put out there, what you reap is what you sow, right?
Awesome. Okay, so yeah, and I mean, everyone benefits from that. I mean, if everyone did that, the whole world would be a way better place. I mean, if we just have to realize what you get something out of it.
Right. And I think the biggest thing is awareness. So as soon as you become aware that you are a vibrational being and that you are actually emitting a frequency with every action, thought, reaction, then you have control. Without awareness, really, you could live with a veil over your eyes, not realizing that you do have control. So what happens when you become aware is now you're in a place of noticing how you can change your life experiences. So if we did the Kindness Challenge, and it is a challenge that I'm doing for 30 days, just to help people get into the awareness mode. We should be experiencing the frequency pretty quickly, but if we can do it for 30 days, it takes 30 days to change a habit. So if we're aware over 30 days, we're going to be able to be more aware the following month.
And why would you want to stop that, really, like after the 30 days?
Right.
So, I mean,
It becomes your DNA, right? So then you're just out, when you're out and about, it's not about, saying, okay, today I'm going to be kind. Because I think as a nation, I mean, generally people are kind. If you see somebody has fallen, you're going to most likely extend a hand, a lending hand, yeah? But I think the key of the challenge is to wake up every morning aware that today I'm going to look for opportunities out there where I can lend a helping hand. So whether it be at the grocery store, whether it be visiting an old age home and just, spreading some cheer, whether it's going to the police department, fire department, and acknowledging for the services they do, it's actually taking that extra step to be very aware of the people that are around us that are extending kindness towards us.
exactly. And I mean, I think it's easy for people to become jaded and think like, okay, maybe the world isn't like that. But there are people that forget what it is to be kind. But with something like the kindness challenge, it gives you some exposure to actually going out there and being kind. And I honestly think after a few days of it, those people will realize, hey, it's not just me doing this. There actually are other legitimate kind people out there
Absolutely.
doing this kind of thing all the time.
Absolutely.
And it will help thaw some of that some of that coldness.
Yep.
So I mean, I think this is a great thing, and tons of people would benefit from it. Again, because again, it is easy to become jaded, but once you have a few good examples, and then you see the benefits to yourself from being kind. It becomes very
It's
easy.
actually like a drug, right? You actually had a real big high out of it because
Yeah.
you've just helped somebody or you've just shared something very positive with somebody and their reaction really fuels you. So the soul, and when we talk about who we really are, our souls are looking for that kind of higher frequency experiences, right? You're right. We become jaded by the experiences we've had up until now, and a lot of it can be skewed as negative,
Yeah.
right? Or challenging. But if we can just change our perspective about it, then we become a little bit more in tuned,
100%.
right?
Yeah, exactly. So, I think I'll just ask, with Life Reset, what are your most popular products or services?
So I have two things that are going on. One is it's a program, it's a 6-week program that reprograms the subconscious mind. So I help people to come into that program with whatever limiting beliefs they have. And what we do is we work 6 weeks on the 5 different elements of a human, and we reprogram the subconscious mind so that those limiting beliefs that don't serve that are no longer serving that person can be reprogrammed so that they can actually experience different things that they want in their life. So it could be abundance, it could be good health, it could be just feeling better. Sometimes people get into this mode of perhaps feeling anxiety or depression and don't know how to come out of it.
Yeah.
So what we do with this 6-week program is to help people reframe that whole limiting belief. And the other product, is an 8-week course that I lead people through in terms of their mindset. And it's called Mindology. And I work with people so that they can peel back the layers of the things that they've been experiencing and figuring out why certain things were happening. And then we do what's called a total reset. Hence the book being called Life Reset, a whole reset on how do you attract abundance into your life.
Okay, cool. So, and I think some people would ask, like, what can you accomplish in 6 to 8 weeks? I think a lot. I mean, some of people's biggest challenges are just getting started. And if you can help people get started, that can be a big hurdle for people, and they can just move on from there. And it's nothing stopping back from checking in with you. It's just, I assume, right? And I think it can be life-changing for people.
Yeah, and I think what happens when you take a course like this and you have a coach is the accountability part of it. Because a lot of people will start day 1, day 2. You can find certain things online. You can go onto YouTube. But if you don't have an accountability partner, you tend to fall off. And because we're habitual creatures, we go back to our old ways.
Yep.
But when a coach is actually guiding you through it, every step of the way, holding your hand and giving you the right strategies that work for you. So it's individualized. It's not sort of one, size fits all,
Yeah.
right? Because everybody's struggling with different things in their life. So I think the accountability is really huge when anybody tries to or looks into hiring a coach, especially a lifestyle coach.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like the accountability, and like even with like we're talking about New Year's resolutions, a lot of people fall through on this because they're not really accountable to anybody for them. And especially the ones where you're like, okay, I'm going to go to the gym and all that stuff. It's like, well, no one's really depending on you really to get that done.
Right.
But when you're accountable to somebody or somebody depends on you, then you're more likely to get something done.
Absolutely.
And it's a bigger thing.
Exactly. And so as you do it with a partner, and you're checking in and you're getting the strategies, as you start doing, let's say going to the gym, after about a week, you feel so good that now you don't 100% need the accountability because you're already feeling the experience, and you're like, oh my gosh, I feel great. I have more energy. I look good. Maybe you shed a pound or half a pound and you feel really accomplished.
Yeah.
So we all need that in terms of our life to be able to have those good, positive experiences. So we want more of that.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
Right?
Yeah, you need the payoff.
You need the payoff. Yeah, exactly. But you have to stay on track to get the payoff. Otherwise, if you're going to fall off the wagon in the first couple of days, it's just going to be, well, this doesn't work, right? It's easy to say, well, this doesn't work. But if you give it the time it needs with a partner that's going to guide you, then you have more chances of success.
100%. Yeah, exactly. Hey, everyone. This is our first commercial break. We're new, so we'll just take this time to let you know more about what Dufferin Spotlight on Business is all about, which is a weekly show that features discussions from business leaders from around Dufferin County regarding their businesses and accomplishments. The achievements of small business owners largely go unnoticed, but it is our goal to recognize them, as these are the people who keep small communities like ours alive. In addition to this, we will highlight the advantages of shopping local, so be sure to check back each week to see the amazing things people are doing through their businesses. To learn more about what we do and other shows that we will be producing, be sure to check out dufferinspotlight.ca. Spotlight on Business. So what does kindness mean in the terms of the Kindness Challenge?
So what kindness means is the ability to look at something else or for somebody else that really doesn't necessarily benefit you, right? So if we're going to help somebody, perhaps an elderly person, take their groceries from the grocery store to their car, it doesn't really have any profound benefit per se to you, except the fact that you are extending kindness to somebody who needs help. However, there's no physical perhaps benefit to you, but vibrationally there's a huge benefit. And so what I talk about in my book is this whole thing about the law of attraction. The law of attraction states that like attracts like. So if I've imparted some form of kindness to somebody, there's a frequency I've emitted into the universe. Now, the universe is looking to match that frequency to come back to you because like attracts like. So it's like a magnet, right? So what we're wanting to do is as we emit kindness or the frequency of kindness, we want to attract that back, right? And so as we help others, as we do things for the environment, for our pets, anything that we can actually become aware of helping that particular part, and I'll talk about the 4 tiers, is about raising our own vibration. That's what the Kindness Challenge is meant to do, is to raise our own vibration.
Yeah. Okay. And I mean, like you're saying, you do get a benefit out of it, but you also feel good after.
Well, that is the whole benefit, is that feel good. You do feel good, but sometimes people just say, I felt really good about it, but not realizing that feeling good thing is actually a frequency.
Yeah.
That is the frequency, right?
Okay.
And you want to stay in that feeling good mode. The more you do that during the day, the more you're attracting the same frequency. So if we continually are aware of how kindness affects our vibration, we're attracting more of that same vibration toward us.
Makes 100% sense. That's awesome. Yeah, because I mean that makes complete sense.
Yeah, for sure. I know for sometimes some people, kind of get their head stuck like, well, it doesn't make sense to me because really, I'm nice, but then, I get a bill from whatever and now I've got something negative. But what we're trying to say is try and have your vibration up like all day. Yeah. And yet you're going to have these dips in the day of perhaps bad news or something goes wrong or you get a flat tire or whatever it is.
It's still going to happen.
It's going to happen. However, if your frequency, if you know how to control your vibration, you're going to not stay in that dip too long. You're going to bounce right back up and say, I know this is just vibration, and for me to keep my vibration up, I must feel good no matter what. right?
Yeah.
So it's just learning that trick, and once you do and you experience the benefits of that, you are really keen on not staying down in the dip for too long. It just doesn't serve you, and it doesn't serve what you're trying to accomplish.
And that's really on the person, right? Like, that's taking charge, taking control, and that's awesome. Those are all good things to be pushing as well. I mean, you're responsible for how you feel to a degree, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, in getting out there and helping other people, that does make you feel good. And I mean, again, everyone benefits from that, including yourself. Because again, like you're saying, you're not staying in those ruts for too long,
Right.
Or like the lower vibrations, like with lower frequencies. I mean, like it's
so important to be aware of it, and then as you practice with it and you see the benefit, you just do more of it. So I will just share with you one of the things that I've learned during my journey of learning about vibration and frequency is the 17-second rule. So Abraham Hicks talks about this 17-second rule. What that means is, when you go to sleep, when we all go to sleep, we actually stop our brains from all these thoughts, right? Because during the day we have between 60,000 to 70,000 thoughts a day.
Yep.
And most of these are not controlled thoughts, so they're just robotic. When we go to sleep, our actual conscious mind rests, and so the thoughts are not spiraling. So when you're sleeping, you're in this very calm place of no thought. And you wake up, if you jump up to, oh my God, I've got to run to work, got to feed the kids, got to, fill up gas, and you're running as you get up with all these thoughts, you've just lost momentum. So the 17-second rule states that for the first 17 seconds, as soon as your eyes open, if you can bring in a good feeling thought and stay with that feeling in your heart for 17 seconds, you're going to attract during the day more of that vibration of that 17-second thought. So what we encourage, or I encourage my clients to do, is in that first 17 seconds is think about something that really makes them feel good. Think about an experience they've had. Perhaps it's a vacation where they felt really elated, or something joyous, and just stick with that thought for 17 seconds. And then you can move on to do your normal morning ritual. That first 17 seconds will actually determine how your day goes.
Huh. That makes sense. I mean, good start to the day. Theoretically, a good finish, too.
Right.
Awesome.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah. And does it take people time to do that? I mean, it's just hard for me to figure out what I'm doing the first 17 seconds of the day. I'm always out of it.
And the whole thing is awareness, right? So when you go to bed, you are now saying to yourself, first thing when I wake up, I'm going to practice the 17-second rule. Now, the first few times, your thoughts may go somewhere else. It's fine. What you want to do is bring that awareness back and just feel that feeling, that goodness feeling. And it takes a little bit of practice, but not a lot, because it's nice to think about something great as opposed to the worry that we perhaps all wake up with, or, the things we have to do. So yes, it takes a little bit of time, but if you practice with it, it really does make a difference. And what I tell my clients to do is do it for 33 days. Make it a commitment for 33 days to just practice that.
Yeah.
Because then once it becomes part of your routine, you'll wake up without actually having to think about it. You'll just come up with a very good thought for 17 seconds. And hold, right? You're going to hold that thought.
So it's similar to meditation.
Yes.
Except instead of clearing your thoughts, or I know you don't really clear your thoughts in meditation, you're focusing on a positive thought for a relatively short period of time.
Yes.
So it should be, for people that tell themselves they can't meditate, I think this is something that's more easily attainable, I would say.
Absolutely, because it's still a thought, right?
Yeah.
And so you're just actually more focused on a thought as opposed to all these random thoughts, right?
Yeah.
So it is a form of meditation, a very powerful one. And if once you can get that, a hang of that, and then you can actually in tune that with your breathing.
Yeah.
Right? Because then you're taking some deep breaths, because we really need oxygen to have better experiences, right? Because we're all shallow breathers, typically speaking, during the day. We need to take these deep breaths. And so again, I'm teaching the 17-second rule here, but we then incorporated it with the deep breathing so that you can have the full experience, right?
Okay. And yeah, that encourages all kinds of,
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
It just makes us more aware of how our body's functioning, and it all starts with awareness, really. everything starts with awareness.
100%. 100%. Hi everyone, Josh here with another commercial break. So now that you know what the show is all about, let me tell you more about what our mission is with Dufferin Spotlight as a whole. We are looking to cover issues that do not get enough attention by the public in non-divisive ways with the hope of increasing awareness and moving discussions forward. And in addition to this, with our content, we also aim to support those affected or are trying to solve these issues. There are a lot of issues we'd like to cover, which means a lot of shows. We already have a new show slated for this year, this one completely unrelated to business, but still involves the people of Dufferin. We've got a lot on the go, so be sure to follow Dufferin Spotlight on Facebook to keep up with the latest news. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this episode of Dufferin Spotlight on Business. So, why Kindness Challenge?
The reason I did the kindness challenge is everybody was talking about, the resolutions they were having for 2020 as we were sort of changing, a decade. We're going to go into a new decade. And I really thought, what is it that I want to have as my word? Like some people were talking about having a word for the year, or they pick a word that really resonates with them, whether it's, bravery, courage, empathy. My word was kindness, and I thought, how would I incorporate that for my 2020 resolution? And it's just to become more aware of what people in our community needs and how we can help others. Just that in itself is defining kindness for me. But as I talked to you about before, we have 4 tiers in this challenge, just because we want people to experience it at different levels.
Yeah.
And so I'll just tell you the 4 tiers that we did come up with. The first one is people, and we're on week 1, day 4 today. So it's about realizing that there are people out in our community that need our help, right? Whether it's just a smile that you can look at somebody, maybe they're having a bad day, or you can actually help somebody at the grocery store or the old age home, just go say hello, talk to our emergency workers and thank them. Like, it's very simple to do. It's just being aware that today I'm going to actually go and do it.
Yeah.
Right? As opposed to waiting for the opportunity to come towards us, we go towards the opportunity. So that's week 1. Week 2, we're talking about environment. So how can we play a part in serving our planet, right? So whether it's, recycling. Some people perhaps don't have a routine of recycling. Or maybe for me it was, I love having straws in my drinks, but I don't want to have plastic straws anymore. So I want to invest in a metal one, and just carry that around so that I'm not wasting and adding to the planet's waste, right? So it's just being aware of what our environment needs, and because really our Earth, Mother Earth, is serving us, and we need to be really aware of all this climate change that's happening. We're responsible for it, and what are we leaving our children and their children, and all of that in terms of learning. So the second week, we're really going to concentrate on environment, and what we'll do is we do it on Facebook, and we go Facebook Live once a week so that we can tell people, hey, this week we're going to concentrate on this particular tier. Week 3, we're going to be working on acts of kindness, just random acts of kindness. So people have certain ways of how they want to help. Could be the food bank, could be, going to help the homeless, perhaps if they see somebody on the street. But whatever acts of kindness they are drawn towards is something that we'll encourage in week 3. And then week 4, we really want to concentrate on our youth and our children. So within the community, how can we help the kids that are out there, whether it's volunteering our time or working with our children in terms of our own children and coming up with things that they could do to be kind to their friends. The whole thing about the bullying that's going on, how do we change this for our children and our youths? So that week is going to be primarily focused on the youth and our children.
Awesome. Okay. So, those are all 4 areas that definitely would benefit from more kindness.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Environment and the kids especially.
Because I think sometimes what happens is when we say, it's a kindness challenge and just be kind, sometimes it's overwhelming to think, well, what does that mean? Like, what can I do? But if we break it down into tiers, you might find that you really lean towards one or the other, and you have a strength in it, right? Or something's calling you for doing something in that particular tier. So it's allowing people to experiment and see where they resonate most.
Yeah, because there are some people, especially when you say like the random acts of kindness and stuff like that. Like some people would rather be anonymous, and you could do that randomly, like through
Yes.
like whether it's like paying it forward in the drive-through or something like that,
Yes.
or something like that, or you want to be more out there and again volunteering at the food bank or one of those organizations. There's all a variety of different ways, and like you said, like if you're giving out more like you said, you're making more specific with each of these weeks. Like you said, someone will find their little niche
Yes.
and get in there and maybe hopefully go on with that after the challenge.
Exactly. And I think that's what we're trying to do, is to allow people to experience it, and then they can take it on. I'd love for it to continue over the entire 365 days, for me to be able to encourage people and empower people. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, once people get into the vibration of it and find how much it benefits them, I think that, they would continue with it, just from the sheer sense of what they're feeling.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, and like you said, like, it takes about a month to develop a habit.
Yes.
Hopefully it continues afterwards.
Right. And for people that are really interested, I mean, they can follow me on Facebook, and they can hashtag, kindness challenge, just so that it can be followed with other people in their circles, and we
Yeah.
can actually make this go wider and in other communities as well. So it's not just for, the people on my group or your group, but in the sense of making it larger, we'd love for people to share the challenge, do the challenge, and talk to people about it.
Yeah, we'd only benefit from more kindness in the world. Like, there's
Exactly.
no downside.
No, there is no downside. So, I think that because it's free, it's very easy to do.
Exactly. No, I mean, there's no reason people shouldn't get behind something like this. So can you explain in more detail the frequency behind kindness and how that works?
So if you look at vibration or the frequency, the way it works is anything that feels good. So if we look at love, joy, compassion, kindness, any of those good feeling thoughts carry a very high vibration in terms of how we feel. So if you're off kilter, your GPS system, and in my book I talk about this GPS system, is the emotions. Any emotion that you have that is like negative, which is like worry, resentment, jealousy, hatred, is all very low vibrating feelings and thoughts. So if we continue with those kinds of thoughts during our day, we're just going to attract more experiences that will tell you that, oh yes, you are feeling worry. The universe will deliver something else to worry about. So the idea is anything that feels good, any of the emotions that are of high vibration, which is from the family of love, which is compassion and empathy, kindness is one of them. And so we just want to make sure that our GPS system is pointing towards all of those feelings. And if it isn't, it will tell us by the way we feel. If you don't feel good, then okay, my GPS is off and I need to kind of find something that will make me feel good. And kindness is one of the fastest ways of finding that GPS compass to that feeling of joy.
Hi everyone, this is Josh here with the third commercial break. So now that you know about the show and the overall mission of Dufferin Spotlight, you're probably asking yourself how we're going to pay for it all. We will provide advertising opportunities to interested parties, primarily local businesses, so they can reach people just like you. We prefer working with small local businesses, as that's what we are, and it stops us from getting too reliant on big corporations who already have enough influence over the media landscape. If you are an organization who is interested in working with Dufferin Spotlight to promote your products or services, please reach out to us through our website, dufferinspotlight.ca, so we can bring your community to you. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this episode of Dufferin Spotlight on Business.
So what are some easy ways to pass kindness around?
Well, if you're following me on Facebook, there are posts that I've shared. But today, what I'll tell you is I'll give you some ideas of the 4 tiers and the different things that we've come up with. What I want people to understand is not to limit themselves to what I suggest, because sometimes just within your own frame of mind, you may think, hey, I'd want to do this, and it may not be on the list. So I don't want people to be so structured within the list, but I'll give some ideas. So for the people category, you know, we were, a friend of mine, Susan, and I were kind of going back and forth about certain ideas, and we were like, you know, perhaps it would be helping a neighbor. If you know they've just had surgery, perhaps you go and make a meal for them, or check up on them. The elderly is another one, where, you know, sometimes in the snow that we're getting and the cold, it's nice to go and check on perhaps a person that's older that may need some help. Perhaps you can go buy their groceries for them and bring it to them so they're not going out. You know, it's just about helping somebody that needs that help. Some of the other things that we came up with was, you know, sending flowers, sending a note, writing a letter, perhaps calling a friend you haven't talked to in a long time, and touching base. Sometimes what happens is we get so lost or caught up in our life that we forget about those little things that that make experiences for both parties better, especially when it's somebody that's long lost, you know, or somebody you may want to have a conversation around forgiveness. Maybe there was something that was said between a friend and you've lost contact, and you want to clear that air, right?
Yeah.
Because life is short and we don't know what's going to happen. But if we want to clear our karma, we want to start with doing things like that. In week 2, when we talk about environment, I did use the example of the reusable straws. That's a big one for me because I am a big straw person. But you know, it's plastic bags at the grocery store. You know,
100%.
Let's take recycling bags with us. Let's not use the plastic bags. And I know they cost 5 cents, but really, let's make a point next week to just get into the habit of taking something that we can reuse, right?
Yeah.
Turning lights off. I think sometimes we forget the importance of the energy that we are blessed with and what we use, right? But if we're more cognizant about not wasting it, then we're just going to get into that mode to understand the value of it, right? Sometimes we lose the value of things just because we have such an abundance of things.
100%.
Right?
100%.
So things like that for the environment, that would be great. Right now it's snowing, so I you know, in the summer I would say, you know, go to the park and pick up some trash and clean the areas up. Right now, of course, we're in winter mode. So, but if you're in an area where you're not, I have a lot of followers from the US and from UK, they may have the benefit of good weather, then to use that and serve the environment.
Yeah.
Right? The other thing with random acts of kindness for week 3, we were talking about serving maybe communities that, not communities, but organizations that really need our help, whether it be the food bank, the shelters, the homeless, you know, organizations that serve the homeless, anything that really evokes something from your heart to say that I'm going to fulfill that cause, right? For me, I just came back from Iraq. I saw a lot of children that were orphans, and I felt a need to help an orphanage, right? So whatever cause fuels you, answer that call.
Yeah.
Right? Let's just take that first step of answering. Doesn't have to be major, right? It can be really small acts, but we need to just be aware. And the last one was the children. So whether it would be, you know, tutoring a friend's child if they were having trouble, you know, maybe the friend can't afford a tutor. Maybe you take an hour a week and help them with their math, or, you know, your own children. Perhaps you want to encourage them with certain activities, or you know, you want to include them in perhaps a cooking activity or something that you're doing. Including our children in our lives, because we're so inundated with technology that we're getting lost. Our children are getting lost in it,
Yep.
right? Like they're playing their video games, they're watching TV, they're doing whatever, but they're not connecting. When we're losing the human touch. And so this is where we can maybe in week 4 look at having these experiences with our children or our communities and have that human contact.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't care who you are. I mean, there's something that you care about. Like, whether it's your kids, whether it's like you said, if you've gone somewhere and you've seen something, like you go to Iraq and you see some orphans, like you're definitely, I don't care who you are, you're probably going to feel something about that.
Yes.
All you got to do is just kind of open up your mind. You'll find something, and you'll find something that you actually want to help out, and just go for it.
Answer the call. And I think that's what this whole challenge is the awakening. Let's wake up, you know, rather than kind of living in our doom and gloom thinking nothing's going to change. Let's be the change we want to see in the world. you know?
Exactly. You need to be a good role model. And I mean, you think you might be alone on these things, but you're not. There's other people like you out there.
Yeah, absolutely. We are all one, and I think that's something that's huge for the challenge that I've created, is to say that, just because you have a certain lifestyle or culture, religion, whatever it is, and I have mine, doesn't mean that we're not one human race.
Yeah.
And so we're really just playing off of that, saying, let's just become one. Let's practice like we're one.
Yeah, but again, like you said before, like with don't get too structured with what you're doing. Like put your own little spin on it, right?
Absolutely.
So I mean that's the great thing of having such variety of people, is that we each have our own unique flavors that we can put onto things,
Yeah.
and that makes things even better. And I mean, we get even cooler acts of kindness out there that will get even more attention. Then people will learn from that and go from there.
Exactly.
So
And I think if people are doing the kindness challenge, to empower others, if you can post and just write it, it doesn't have to be so much so that, oh, I did this, in terms of you want that kind of recognition, but just how did it make you feel? How did it make that other person feel? Perhaps you can share these stories, because I think in stories we find our own, and it can empower us, to say, my gosh, like maybe I could do that.
Yeah. Exactly. The more different kinds of people you see doing these things, it's all the better, because again, you'll see someone that like you closely relate to, and like, okay, well, they're doing that, why can't I?
Right.
And maybe I'll do it again a different way. But yeah, no, exactly. Positive role models.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that we kind of lose out, right? When we get into our own little world, and we don't really have that out there,
Yeah.
right? But if we can become aware that there are people doing some very good things in our community,
Yep.
then we can be empowered by that.
And that's the good thing too, is about inner community.
Yes.
We see these people on TV, and I mean they're put up on pedestals and stuff like that, but they also have publicists, and
Yes.
they're positioned to make they're made to look a certain way.
Right.
But the people on the ground actually doing the great work are in communities like ours.
Right.
And those people deserve just as much recognition, if not more. And again, they're more authentic. They don't have anybody positioning to
Right.
make them look great.
And
They're
the,
actually
and the
looking great.
amazing thing is, they're not really doing it for getting any kind of recognition.
100%.
This is just, they're following their hearts. They're following that call, and they're just doing it. Whether they get recognized or not is not their agenda.
Exactly. It's not about a photo op. That's
Yes.
more what I'm talking about with other guys.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
the more position will look that way.
Exactly. So I think this is authentic. This
Yeah.
is, somewhere where we can feel like we're in a part of a community that makes a difference. And perhaps at some point, other communities can look at it and say, we want to do the same,
Exactly.
right?
Which benefits everybody.
Yes.
Keep saying it over and over again, but
Yes.
everyone benefits for something like this.
So yeah, for 2020, I think the message I want to get across is, let's make this the year of kindness.
Awesome. So how can people get involved?
So follow us on Facebook. You can go to my profile page at Nasira Jamal. You can follow me on Life Reset Academy on Facebook as well. And you can post. If you want to take it on, you can post it on your own profile and just hashtag kindness challenge, because that will also get some traction in terms of how algorithms work, and all these hashtags, and how do people find it. I think if we can just do it even within our own pages, it will still have some effect.
Hi everyone, this is our last commercial break. Thank you all for listening so far, and I hope you've enjoyed it. To keep up with everything that Dufferin Spotlight is doing, you should follow us on Facebook and YouTube. You can find other episodes of Dufferin Spotlight on Business by looking us up on Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, in addition to our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Of course, the best way to see all of our stuff is to check out our website, dufferinspotlight.ca. If we are not already on your preferred platform, let us know through our website and we'll do our best to get on it. That's it for commercials, and I hope you enjoy this episode of Dufferin Spotlight on Business.
If you don't mind, we're going to go back to Life Reset. So if you don't mind, what was your biggest challenge in starting this business?
The biggest challenge that I found was my own limiting beliefs. Being that I've never written a book, I didn't know what I would do after writing the book. And the challenge was my mindset, is that I thought I couldn't because I didn't have a degree or some formal training, right?
Yeah.
And I had to get over that challenge of having faith in my own abilities and sort of following the calling of writing the book.
Yeah.
And putting my story on paper to help others. And so as soon as I became one with the idea of what the purpose of the book was, which was to help other moms going through challenges like raising a child with special needs. I really thought that my experiences would help, and it didn't matter if I didn't have a degree or I wasn't a published author from before or any formal training.
Yeah.
That was the biggest challenge. As soon as I got my objective and why I was doing it, it was very clear.
Yeah. So, well, yeah, something like this. Like, I didn't have any background in audio production either, but you have an objective, and it's like, okay, you just gotta move forward. There's tons of things like there that, like you said here before, one of the hardest things is to get started.
Yes.
And you help people get started. And once you get there, you can learn a lot of things along the way. And like with writing a book
Yep.
or with producing a podcast, there are so many things out there. It's like, as long as you can get started, you could probably make it.
Yep. And you can learn along the way. I think that's
Exactly.
the thing. So again, back to this whole idea of the frequency and vibration, if you're looking for something to do, if you put it out there in your case, this is a podcast that you are learning about and trying and making it something big.
Yeah.
The universe will send you people and experiences and things that you need to get there. So I think it's just being open to the fact that I want to do this, and I will wait and I will learn on how these things will come together, right?
Exactly.
So the first thing is taking that first step. Yes, I'm going to make the intention of doing it, and then starting.
Exactly.
And then allowing it to come towards you.
Awesome. And that's a great example for everyone to learn from.
Right.
Awesome. So with that, do you have any advice for those starting their own business?
Well, the first thing I would say is, we as business owners tend to be our own worst enemies, right? So we tend to stop ourselves from that growth.
Yeah.
Because of what people might say. Oh my God, what if it doesn't work? All of these things come up in our minds, right? And we kind of step back and the fear sets in. So my first advice would be once you have your idea, just take that first step and just do it. It doesn't really matter. It may not be the way it's going to end up.
Yep.
Because other things may come up. There's nothing as failure. It's either a learning or a blessing, right? So you either learn from it and go a different route, or it's a blessing because it's like, oh my God, thank God I did it because I met so-and-so and this kind of happened and this showed up. So the first thing is to just take your idea and take that first step, and whatever that first step is for you, depending on the business model, right?
Yeah.
And the other struggle people, I think, find is they don't have the knowledge base, and because technology is moving so quickly, is to perhaps strategize to have somebody as coaching you in the first few months, because that can actually shorten your learning curve by a lot. Now, you do have to be careful in terms of strategy coaches, and there's a lot out there, but you want to pick somebody in terms of someone who has the experience and who has done it,
Yeah.
so that they can show you and shorten that curve for you, right? So that you're not falling off and feeling defeated very,
Yeah.
very quickly.
Hoping to avoid those pitfalls,
Right. Yeah,
which can be very difficult for people.
exactly.
Awesome. So, that makes a ton of sense. Awesome. So I think that's it. Is there anything else you would like to discuss before we wrap it up?
No, you know what? I wish everybody the best for 2020,
Yeah.
including yourself. And I just want people to really take on this year, the year we feel is going to be the highest year for change for people, as just embrace it and live in joy, be in joy, and you'll attract the same.
That's true. And we've all seen the news lately. Over the last couple of years, it's pretty easy to get negative. We need to have a new start.
Yep.
New decade, new start. Let's put the past behind us and look towards the future and at all the positive things that can happen.
Exactly.
Awesome. And thank you for setting such a great example with this and
Thank
for
you.
joining us.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. I appreciate it.
All right, everybody. That's it for this week's episode of Dufferin Spotlight on Business, and I hope you enjoyed it. Big thanks to Nasir Jamal from Life Reset for taking the time to help us out with our show, and for those of you who listened. To contact Nasir and to keep up with everything that she's doing with the Kindness Challenge, be sure to follow her and Life Reset Academy on Facebook. If you would like to learn more about the businesses and people who make Dufferin what it is, be sure to check back every Tuesday for new episodes. The easiest way to do this is to follow or subscribe to our show wherever you prefer to listen. We are currently available on Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, in addition to Facebook and YouTube. Of course, you can find all of our episodes and more on our website, dufferinspotlight.ca. If there is anywhere else you would like to see us, please let us know through our Facebook page or our website, and we'll do our best to get on it. If you haven't had a chance to check out our last episode, it was with Lori and Jerry from Team Spirit, the science behind spirit. This is a paranormal group consisting of some of the most kindest people in Dufferin, so be sure to check it out, as it's a really good episode. Until next time, get to know your community and shop local. Thanks.